Jai Hind viewers, we are here once again with one more edition of our program, the India Dialogue. As you are aware that we recently hosted the G20 summit in New Delhi on 9th and 10th September as the president of the grouping, and the event has been reportedly conveyed world over as one of the grandest one. There have been many favorable achievements as per the Delhi Declaration and the subsequent comments by different sections of the media nationally and internationally too. To carry forward our episode of India Dialogue, today amongst us we have highly acclaimed and professional soldier General Shantanu Dayal sir with us. He is an alumnus of Patna Science College, St. Michael's School, Patna. Thereafter NDA, and sir recently retired as DCS, where he looked after the capability development and sustenance, information systems and coordination and strategy. Sir also briefly served as the chairman of the Arunachal Pradesh Public Service Commission. Sir, in the with the recently concluded G20 summit in Delhi, as we all have been hearing that it has had many first and major success for the country as the head of the G20 grouping. How do you view the recently concluded G20 summit and also with respect to the 17 previous summits and their outcomes?
Thank you, Mr. Sajid. I'm really honored to be invited to this India Dialogue, and I consider myself fortunate to have been part of this very fine organization. You have correctly stated this G20 has happened or has been organized at a very opportune moment for India.
Sir.
Where large number of geopolitical activities are taking place. There are transformations and changes occurring at that level. And India, this G20 forum has provided India with that opportunity and with that kind of a step which has the potential to take India into the next level of geopolitics.
Sir.
Now, if you look at the geopolitical status today, obviously the traditional powers, USA, EU, Russia, China remain. The emergent powers like India and certain other powers. This is one issue which is going on, how this new dynamics will play up. All these powers are part of G20.
Sir.
All of them coming on one table,
Sir.
discussing the issues which are close to them,
Yes.
which affect them directly, which affect them indirectly. All of them has been discussed in the Delhi Declaration, and it is the leadership of India
Sir.
in this forum which has come out in a very glaring, very pronounced manner.
Sir.
The other issue which is also very important today is that from the traditional security perspective, the world is now changing over to an economic perspective.
Very true.
G20 as it is was made for economic activities.
Yes.
But what has happened is, in the geopolitical, geostrategic domain, the importance of economy
Sir.
has increased so much that many security issues are getting subsumed in this geo-economics activities.
Yes.
And therefore, to hold the G20 meeting today in this environment
Sir.
is a major achievement for India. For example, this Ukraine issue. Now, this issue was deliberated in the previous G20 meeting also.
Yes.
Very good or very mutually acceptable declaration could not be made in the past.
The Bali Declaration, yes.
Absolutely,
Yes.
Bali Declaration.
Yes.
But in the Delhi Declaration, we must compliment our Praz and the country as such, which could manage and which could come out with a declaration which is acceptable
unanimity.
With complete unanimity, which is acceptable to both warring sides,
Yes, sir.
and also to give the vision that today's era is not the era of war.
Very sad.
This vision statement or this futuristic thought is solely to the credit of our leadership, our country taking on this G20 in a very
Very well said, sir. Very well said about the major achievement of Delhi Declaration. One of the major achievement in this declaration has been the setting off of India Middle East Economic Corridor. As you are aware, sir, with the world today changing from pure security to economics now, and security, as you very rightly said, being subsumed in the economics of it, there has been a lot of talk since the time Chinese launched their project of BRI, and India was never on board. It had its own observation that it is not in the interest of India. Now, with this announcement of IMECC by the 8 countries where India, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Italy, Germany, France, US, and all these and European Union as a part of it, and all these major powers have got together to announce this IMECC. How do you view this in comparison to the Chinese BRI? And you are aware, sir, that from the time the Chinese launched this project of theirs in 2013, that primarily countries like Italy, Sri Lanka in our neighborhood, and also Pakistan CPEC project, there have been a lot of criticism and adverse reporting on this.
Yeah.
Now with this India taking the leadership and coming out with the IMCC, what are your views on the subject, sir?
You see, before I start comparing the BRI project of China with our India, Middle East, Europe corridor,
Sir.
let me bring out a historical issue.
Sir.
You see, India has been the major trader with Europe
Yes.
as well as Middle East for a very, very long time.
Very true.
European traders, Portuguese traders, Vasco da Gama,
Yes.
even Columbus going to America,
Yes.
they were actually looking for India.
Absolutely. The spice
Because,
route. and all that.
because of the land route, the difficulties which is there in land route and the time which it used to take,
Absolutely.
looking for a sea route was very, very important for those countries, and therefore India was very, very important trading partner to Middle East
Sir.
as also to European countries.
Sir.
And therefore, while BRI has been stated or has been claimed to be a modern avatar of Silk Route,
Sir.
India's trade with these countries has been perhaps bigger than what was there, because silk used to go from India also.
Yes.
There used to be fine jewelry
Yes.
in addition to these spices.
Spices, of course.
So therefore, historically, India is very, very well placed
Yes, sir.
by trading with these countries, or I will say increasing the scope of the trade
Very
through
true.
this corridor which has been announced.
Sir.
Coming to this comparison between BRI and IMCC. Now, BRI is to use a little harsh word,
Yes, sir.
it is a investment project,
Yes,
an
sir.
investment of China
Yes,
into
sir.
countries which perhaps at that point of time were not so well off,
Yes, economically. Very
and
true.
they could not afford those infrastructural projects. So it was not a, in literal sense, in the correct sense, a joint venture between the concerned countries and,
the Chinese.
Chinese company. For
Yes.
example, the closest example is CPEC in Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Now, CPEC in Pakistan, these are smaller contracts. The CPEC consists of many contracts between various companies of China
Yes.
with the surety of the Chinese government.
Yes.
The funds are Chinese, are based on very high rates of
Interest for
whether it is energy being produced, whether the taxes or the toll taxes which are going to be taken from the ports on the rail. The economic viability of the BRI is much in question.
Yes, sir.
The India, Middle East, Europe corridor,
Yes.
now that has been planned with countries which are already well off, and we are already doing trade in this region.
Absolutely. The comfort level is still
comfort
already
level is
there.
quite high.
Yes.
There is a vast, almost touching 80-90 billion trade which we are
yes.
having with Middle East countries
countries, yes.
and Europe. The route which is followed from India to the Gulf countries
And Europe. For
and Europe
ages.
is willy-nilly generally the same as it
Yes.
is today.
Very true.
What will happen is this corridor will produce an institutionalized kind of a framework,
Sir.
both physical as also from the point of view of contracts and understanding, the speed of movement,
Sir.
the transportation points at the ports, on the railway line, and in addition to that,
Sir.
the world of supply chain will bring in many of the contractors, sub vendors of different countries which are jointly going to contribute to the success of this. So the chances of success of India, Middle East, European corridor is much higher,
sir,
than that which is there of BRI.
Very true, sir.
In the futuristic sense
Yes, sir.
and the manner in which it has been envisaged The BRI, lot of pumping of new capital and new energy into this project, it is bound to wither with time.
Good times.
Whereas the India Middle East corridor,
Sir.
thereafter to Europe,
Sir.
by its very nature,
Yes, sir.
is bound to succeed.
Very true, sir.
Because all the stakeholders are very energetic partners in this. It has been made with a mutual concurrence, mutual acceptability. There is no forcing, there is no investment of each other. Everybody is an equal stakeholder.
Yes.
It's a win-win situation for India also, for Middle East also, and for the European countries, especially those big economic powers like France, Germany,
Yes.
Italy, Greece also
Yes.
now will gain from
Yes,
that.
so the port of Greece will be nodal points.
So therefore,
Yes, sir.
I can only say in comparison that this India, Middle East, Europe corridor
Sir.
is a much advanced,
Yes.
much modern,
Yes, sir.
much more implementable and much more economically viable project than BRI ever was. Until now, we don't see any further improvement in that.
There are many students of international relation and economics. They keep asking that yes, India today is world's one of the fastest growing country with a rate of GDP increase of 6.5% or plus. Now to sustain that kind of development, and also looking at as our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji has said that he would like to see India as a developed nation by 2047. In the backdrop of that kind of target that the country is set for itself, we do understand that our industries and other things will require a huge amount of resources, natural resources, in terms of sustaining that kind of production industries and all that. And now with this IMCC coming purely to take those finished products from India and to these Gulf countries and Europe and backwards, both way channel. Indian industry will be requiring a lot of natural resources. So do you feel that coming up this project, setting of IMCC will also complement the future needs of Indian industry?
For growth or a comprehensive growth of a country, especially in the long term, sustained growth, minerals is an important component.
Absolutely.
Manufacturing is a very important sector of the complete GDP, apart from services and agriculture. And in the manufacturing sector, minerals, especially those minerals which are not so much abundantly available in our country, is very, very important. Now, where are these minerals available? While there are a large number of rare earth kind of metals available in China, but there are huge number of metals or minerals which are available in Africa, some in Middle East also, and other parts of the country, Latin America, USA included. Now all these resources, all these minerals, channeling of them, addition of value need not take place where the finished product is being made. Addition of value to these minerals can take place at the point of origin or near the corridor which we are planning. For example, minerals which are coming from Africa, they can be made into the intermediate material very close in Middle East or in Africa itself, and thereafter transported, which will be a much lesser volume of transport, which will be cost effective also through this corridor. Now, the advantage of this is the country from where the minerals are to be taken out. For example, aluminium. Now, bauxite, it goes through numerous stages of improvement and value addition before it is made into the body of a car or body of an aircraft or many other uses, high technology uses. Now, this can only happen, or the benefits of this can be accrued by Africa, Middle East and European countries if the intermediate steps are taken very close, which will be cost effective also, and the finished product is taken to whichever place the final factory is. India is going to benefit because India, as you are all aware, is coming out as a big hub of manufacturing. Car industry is already an example for people to see. But even in the aircraft industry,
and
other high technology.
Now, the mobile, that
and I can see your mobile.
I
can see your mobile on the table. So yes,
iPhone is already become number one in 49% market share of exports.
Absolutely. So therefore, manufacturing and mineral sources go hand in hand. And this corridor definitely is going to What will happen is, in addition to the main corridor which has been planned and announced now,
Sir.
there are going to be very, very smaller sub routes which will emanate from this main corridor.
Sub-corridors.
Sub-corridors you can call it,
Yes, yes.
branches you can call
Branches,
it,
yes.
which will come up, and all of them will be very, very important, and everybody in this chain will benefit.
Sir, along with the economic significance of this corridor, what are the implication of security angle to this economic corridor? Now, with this line coming up in the entire Middle East and up to Europe, and likely subsequent expansion to Africa and Latin America and also North America, what do you feel that the security significance of this corridor for India in particular, and also for the regions?
Geopolitically, security and economics
Sir.
have always been important.
Yes, sir.
Traditionally, security was more important, but as the time is passing, as I mentioned in the beginning,
Sir.
economy is gaining ground. But they go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Now, India's security is not a function of only that what takes place on the borders.
Absolutely.
The security dynamics or the security concept transcends the complete matrix of economics, but diplomacy, trade, people moving from one place to another place, human rights,
Sir.
Environment, all are part of security.
Sir.
The countries which will benefit from this corridor, by its very nature, will come together from the security perspective also. Whether it is mentioned, not mentioned, but it is bound to happen. Countries which have got huge trade with amongst themselves, countries which trade a lot with each other, security wise they are always linked.
Very true.
There would be issues and there might be issues, and there are examples in our country, in our neighborhood also, where despite security issues persisting, the economy has the potential to subsume that security issue, and therefore this corridor will do a similar thing by enhancing the economic stakeholding of all the member participants in this corridor, will by its very nature become close security wise. From India's perspective, have closer relations both economically and security point of view with people in the Middle East, the countries in the Middle East, as also with European countries is in our interest, and also in the interest of Middle East as well as Europe. So therefore, it's again a win-win situation from the security point of view also.
Very, very, very well said, sir. Recent news in Middle East, Chinese have been taking a lot of interest, sir. With the diminishing sort of, if I can say, influence of Americans in the Middle East, and especially in a country like Saudi Arabia, we have seen the news of how Chinese have tried to bring Iranians and Saudi Arabians on board together. And also they have taken, in general, in the entire Central Asia and Middle East, if you see, the Chinese interest of late has been quite substantial. Now, seeing the Chinese influence and interest in the region, and now with this announcement of IMECC, where India has been able to convince the other 19 members of the G20 and get African Union also on board, don't you feel that it's one of the master stroke by getting African Union as part of the G20, that in subsequent years, times to come, India will be able to have a greater influence in the Middle East as well as in Africa, and thereby checkmating the Chinese presence, which may not have been comfortable for our interest in the Gulf, sir.
Thank you so much. See, there are two parts of your question. One was regarding Iran and Saudi Arabia, and second was regarding the African Union and African countries. Let me cover the second part first.
Sir.
You see, everybody knows one of the largest untapped sources, whether in terms of minerals, whether in terms of human capital, whether in terms of other development works, markets, today for the entire world is Africa.
Absolutely.
Chinese recognized it long back. They started investing in Africa long back. But unfortunately, the manner in which the Chinese go about venture is top down or kind of a investment mode, aimed solely at dominance of the Chinese project, as also now recently or lately what has happened is the Chinese growth machine is getting overheated.
Absolutely.
Evergrande, that big real estate sector work which is taking place in China and which is having a lot of financial problems, and the effect of that is in other sectors also. Now the Chinese, it is not as if that their impact is reducing in Africa. They have not been able to, despite working there for decades now, they have not been able to garner the entire scope or entire potential of Africa. India indulging into Africa through various branches of this corridor, African Union coming into the G20 and also getting the benefits of this corridor which we talked about earlier.
Sure.
Actually a masterstroke, as you have correctly stated.
Sure.
India is already doing a lot of work in Africa, as you must be aware. We have had a presence in Nigeria, as you are aware, security presence also.
Oil projects and all, yes.
One of the largest countries in Africa is Nigeria. South Africa, we have had very good and very historical relations again with South Africa.
Sure.
Then Botswana. There are many countries.
There are many
countries which we had good relations.
Yes.
So therefore, it will be much easier for Indian companies and India
Sure.
to establish ventures, establish projects which are win-win
Mutually,
for both sides.
both the countries.
So that is one part. As far as Saudi Arabia, Iran is concerned, while as India we will not like to get into the issue which is a very traditional and historic issue between these two countries.
Yes.
And any effort to bring about amity, to bring about greater coordination between them is most welcome.
Sure.
But India has always had very good relations both with Iran and with Saudi Arabia.
Yes, Saudi Arabia.
So India has always played a very facilitating role
Yes.
in to the affairs of Middle East for all the countries, Iraq, Iran, even during the Gulf War.
Yes, sir.
Even when Saddam Hussein used to be in Iraq, Khomeini had just come in Iran.
Yes.
In those times also India maintained very good relations with both sides of that warring side at that point of time.
Yes, sir.
And today also India has got very good relations with both.
Yes.
So India is in a very good position to bring about greater cooperation and greater coordination in this region. And it is already doing so.
Very true.
It has done so in a very fine manner.
Yes. And if I can add here, sir, that the kind of Indian diaspora which is available in the Middle East as well as in Africa, sir. I mean, our lot of Gujus presence in Africa, they are actually holding their business. So I think this corridor will again give impetus to their business activity in Africa, sir, and help in their development and thereby adding to our national development interests. Sir, we'll take the security angle further. As you are very well aware, sir, that we once upon a time we had a greater, if I can say, sort of presence in countries like, from the security point of view, Iraq, Iran, even from Shah time and all that. In general, in the entire Middle East, of course, Oman also. Good history of security interest and presence in this sector. But however, with the, again, increased interest of Chinese in the sector, in this area, and regime change in Afghanistan, where Taliban has come in, replacing the Americans. How do you view that India's interest can be safeguarded from the security point of view? And also in times to come, that as you rightly said, that because of the Silk Route, our economic activity was throughout the Central Asia and Middle East. Now, economics and security both. The Chinese sort of encircling India from the Indian Ocean side, and India emphasizing on Indian Ocean rim countries. Do you think that IMCC is going to be a larger umbrella for the countries in the region, and India as a major stakeholder to also have its security interest safeguarded in the regions?
You see, this traditional view on security, the Ring of Pearl issue which you brought out about the Chinese encircling India, and the traditional security footprints which were perhaps there in Afghanistan and Iran and Iraq and certain other Middle East countries. In the past decade or little more than that, the geopolitical situation has been changing
very fast.
And these traditional issues, though still remain, they're still relevant.
Sure.
But their importance has been reducing to a great degree.
Sure.
For example, let us take this pearl of this Ring of Pearls.
Yes.
Now, India's enhanced naval presence and enhanced naval capabilities with enhanced number of ports which are now active all along our coast negates to a very great degree the Chinese capability with help of, let us say, few ports, one in Myanmar and one in whatever you call it, Hambantota, Gulf of Aden,
Horn of Africa. Yes.
While Chinese can bring ships, any country in the world can bring their ships, and the ships are today in a position to operate very far away from the coast.
Yes.
But the capability, especially in terms of warfare, the capability to actually cause harm or to dominate a particular sea lanes of communication of India is much more than any other country in this area.
True.
So therefore, those traditional issues are no longer as relevant as they were in earlier times.
So,
Now, the question specifically you asked was, how does this India, Middle East, Europe corridor help? Obviously, when you have large number of your own ships or
Yes.
ships which are aligned to you,
Yes.
ships which are moving as part of your institutionalized India Middle East corridor,
yes, sir.
will have passage of time, there would be certain amount of naval presence.
Yes.
Not only of India,
All
but
these
of
countries.
all the stakeholder countries.
because
which
their
are
interests
all,
are involved.
Their interests are involved.
Absolutely.
And as the vibrancy and the quantum of goods which are moving on this corridor increases,
Sir.
so will increase the stakeholding capability of all these countries.
Very true.
This corridor, which is now currently very small compared to the entire world, for example, it is only from India to Europe.
Sir.
But it is going to increase. I visualize this further increasing eastwards
Yes, absolutely.
and further increasing westwards
Westward.
and
Southward.
southwards also.
Yes, Africa,
And when these three branches
Channel
or
into
tentacles
different,
increase,
yes.
it is going to encompass willy-nilly the entire G20 nations,
Very true.
and which will willy-nilly be 75-80% of the world's economy and the security concerns of the world. So therefore, the potential of this corridor is very high.
Very true.
The capability or the gains from this corridor to all the stakeholder countries is very high, and I foresee corridor both economically and security subsuming large number of other issues which have been traditional in nature, which have been waning as it is.
Very true. So now I think this will be very clear to our students of international relation and security how important this IMCC corridor is going to be, not only from economy point of view but as well as security point of view. The Middle East has been an area of extreme instability from the security point of view, with so many disturbances of Iran-Iraq war, then differences with Iran and Saudi Arabia, Israel angle, Palestine and all that. So there has been always an area of extreme instability in this region. Do you also suggest that this particular thing in the long run will have extreme influence on stabilizing the security scenario in the Middle East and between all these warring countries?
Yeah, of course. Even without this corridor, there is some kind of understanding which is now developing between Saudi Arabia and Israel and UAE in Israel. These are major stakeholders. Again, between Iran and Saudi Arabia, the violence levels, the animosity or this thing is already coming down.
Absolutely.
This corridor is going to act like a catalyst and going to suddenly change the dynamics. This whole area is going to become a region of development.
Yes, we can say it will incentivize these countries.
Incentivize these countries to invest more in these countries. So therefore, and as you are aware, oil has got a certain finite age or certain finite life. So oil is not going to continue for long. So correctly so, the Middle East countries, especially Saudi Arabia,
changing their priorities
are seeing it correct from and changing their priorities, looking at new ventures, new avenues of investment, which is going to benefit not only Saudi Arabia and all the neighboring countries also.
So there is also, at the moment we understand that Suez Canal is the primary channel of trade communication between the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean to Europe and Central Asia parts. Now that takes a huge chunk of trade between the countries of this region. Now with this project, there is already a lot of talk of apprehension from the Egyptian side vis-a-vis the Suez Canal, and Turkey from the point of view, because they are a very active member of BRI, and also they have their own similar kind of project of communication within the Central Asian region, because Turkey very strongly feels that without us no channels of communication should be there in that area, and they strongly feel that Turkey is the gateway to Europe from Asia. Now with these kind of apprehensions been expressed primarily by these two countries, and of course Turkey was is the part of G20, and they were part in the meeting Delhi declaration also. Now this conflicting interest of these two countries, primarily Turkey and Egypt, how do you think G20 in totality and of course India in particular will be able to address their apprehensions and facilitate everybody's interest?
See, in the modern world, any approach which is against any other country or which tends to reduce benefits or the advantages accruing to another country is bound to fail. If not in the short term, definitely in the long term. Now, while Turkey has been is opposing this, all other neighboring countries are going to benefit from that. Turkey, it might be in their own interest how to become part of this win-win
Yes.
environment rather than opposing it.
Very true.
Any opposition, if for example Syria, which is still
Yes.
engrossed in their own
Disturbance, yes.
disturbances,
Yes.
but very soon it is going to rise again.
Absolutely.
Jordan, Iraq,
Yes.
all these neighboring countries, and further east Azerbaijan and Armenia.
Yes.
Now these countries, if they are going to benefit from this corridor,
Sure.
there is no way Turkey can remain isolated from that.
Yes.
Turkey has to join in. In fact, they should be, and with their economic potential which they have, they should be in a position to contribute more to this corridor
Sir.
than the other countries in that neighborhood. And therefore, to take Turkey on board,
Sir.
let this be a mutually win-win situation for all the
For
countries in the neighborhood
Very-
involved.
Very true.
As far as Egypt is concerned, it is a fact that one of the important sources of revenue for Egypt was the Suez Canal.
Yes.
That's a fact. And to that extent, the amount of volume of trade which is going through the Suez Canal will get reduced. That is a fact. But then in the larger GDP calculation of the country, the income from the revenue of the ships which are passing may not be as relevant when Egypt per se grows. Egypt is not growing at that rate.
Yes,
The volume of or the scope of its GDP may not be as large
Sir.
as the country's
desired,
potential. It is a very old country, very
true.
traditional
Huge
country,
civilization.
historical, huge civilization.
Yes.
It has got vast potential.
Very true.
So therefore, the larger growth of GDP of Egypt is much more important than focusing on one single source of revenue.
Very true. Sir.
So therefore, Egypt also will benefit a lot by joining this corridor
Sir.
and gaining the benefits from this corridor,
Sir.
both in terms of the development which will take place in Egypt, as also the revenues which will come out not only from the canal, but
canal,
from the
but
other
from
goods and
Yes, allied
things,
activities which
allied activities,
Egypt will get involved.
especially
Yes.
those which are going to move
Africa
from
side.
Africa to
Yes.
this corridor.
Very
So
true.
therefore, there also the potential of Egypt or the chances or possibilities for Egypt
Yes.
to be part of this corridor is much higher
Very true.
than to insist on opposition because of this.
Very rightly
Suez
said,
Canal.
sir. At the moment, Suez Canal is the one source of income for them.
It is
but
one
by
important
aligning,
source,
one of the important source of income, revenue. And once they align with the IMCC, probably many more channels of income will come up. Similarly, for as you said very correctly, Turkey, that part of BRI, and now as Italy has realized that BRI is not a success with them, and their Prime Minister Mrs. Meloni has already announced that probably 2024 will have a relook at continuation of BRI. Similarly, Turkey can also look at IMCC as an alternative to other extended opportunities.
Whether to continue in BRI or not to continue is Turkey's decision.
Yes.
I have got
Correct.
no views on that.
Correct. But the benefits
and
of
Turkey
this
will take the decision based on their own national interest, based on their own dynamics. What I am
Opportunity.
saying is there is another possibility for it is any country cannot depend
On only
as
one.
I mentioned,
Yes.
sole source of income,
Sir.
sole way of Saudi Arabia has to come out of oil revenues.
Absolutely.
Egypt has to come out of the Suez revenue.
Very true.
Similarly, Turkey has to come out not by jettisoning that older this thing.
Yes.
It will take benefits from that also.
true.
But there is another possibility
Another
opening up,
opportunity, yes,
and they should employ that.
Viewers, I think we have covered a wide spectrum of issues and the things of discussion and a lot of questions and curiosities that we have been getting. General Shantanu Dayal has been very kind in explaining in detail. We thank him for joining us today, sir, and giving your valuable time for addressing our these issues and highlighting the significance of IMECC for our people and the people at large all over the world. Next episode of India Dialogue, I'll take a break from you and say Jai Hind. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you, Vishwajit. Jai Hind.